What do the Joker, Handsome Jack, Voss from Far Cry 3, and Nintendo all have in common? They're all video game villains that we love to hate, and they practically steal the show whenever they're on screen. So yeah, everywhere you go on the internet, there's no shortage of people letting you know how much Nintendo sucks, including myself sometimes. Their online service sucks, them shutting down all these emulators instead of actually going after the people who steal their games and put them on the internet to download for free sucks, and the way they treat their legacy games, repackaging them and selling them back to us at full price, really sucks. But do you know what hasn't sucked about Nintendo? Is their ability to push out quality games. Especially in today's landscape when it feels like most AAA games being released are broken, buggy messes. Say what you will about Nintendo always lagging behind in terms of hardware, but when's the last time you fell through the geometry in a Nintendo game or experienced any Bethesda levels of jank? Now, I've never been the type of person to drool over graphics or complain about frame rates. I tend to play my games for fun, not to stare at pretty scenery. That being said, over the years, one thing that I've grown to appreciate is that Nintendo usually offers fun and creative ways to experience their games, rather than focusing on raw graphical power. Maybe if Sony and Xbox had realized this, we'd actually have games to play on their consoles. Here's the thing though, that Nintendo I just painted a picture of, that's not modern Nintendo. The Nintendo I'm referring to is classic Nintendo. Now, as someone who grew up with the GameCube, there's a certain level of expectations I have in terms of what I see as unique and innovative. And I know I'm not the only one this console generation that has started to wonder, is Nintendo losing their creativity? Again, I'm not saying that Nintendo hasn't been releasing fun quality games. What I'm saying is that I feel like this generation, Nintendo has kind of been playing it safe. I haven't really seen them taking risks with their franchises like they have in the past. I mean, let's look at Breath of the Wild, for example, the launch title for Nintendo Switch. It's a huge, lovingly crafted open-world Hyrule that you can lose yourself in for hundreds of hours if you're like me. I'm not denying that. But I felt like it didn't do anything new that I haven't already seen in other open-world games. I mean, I've already had that walkout moment in Skyrim where you can just pick any direction and go. I've already played plenty of Ubisoft games that have you climbing towers to reveal areas of the map. Lots and lots of towers. And speaking of Ubisoft, Korok seats ain't got nothing on the mind-numbing collectibles in the early Assassin's Creed games. Straight up masochist levels of tedium. Now, let's look at the launch title for Nintendo GameCube, Luigi's Mansion. Luigi gets a letter in the mail informing him that he's won a mansion from a contest that he's never even entered, and when he arrives, he finds out that it's haunted and his brother Mario's trapped inside. You literally spend the entire time exploring this mansion Resident Evil style and catching ghosts with a vacuum. You know the balls that Nintendo had to launch a spin-off in the Mario series with the GameCube instead of a mainline Mario game? They took risks with a lot of their franchises during this console generation. They took 3D Mario and gave us a water jetpack and had us cleaning up a tropical island. They took The Legend of Zelda and gave Link a boat and had us sailing the open seas. They took Metroid and turned it into a first-person shooter. They went from this to this. Mario Kart Double Dash, F-Zero GX, Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. It feels like nearly every Nintendo franchise was getting its time to shine on Nintendo's lunchbox. A lot of people don't realize this, but some of their most beloved series debuted on the GameCube. You know that game where you play as that little spaceman that crash lands on an unknown planet and has to use the native plant creatures to find all of his missing ship parts? Well, Pikmin started on the GameCube. You know that cozy little game where you move to a village full of anthropomorphic animals and save up money to pay off your mortgage, collecting, crafting, and decorating? Well, Animal Crossing started on the GameCube as well. Let's look at what started on the Nintendo Switch. Well, there's 1-2 Switch, a game that I didn't even know existed until its sequel came out and became Nintendo's laughingstock. I can't really say too much because I haven't played it, but from what I've gathered it's just an infinitely worse version of Wii Sports. I mean, there's ARMS and Ring Fit Adventure. I heard Snipper Clips was okay, I guess. But I don't really see anybody going out and buying the next Nintendo console to play Snipper Clips 2. But I do know there's a lot of people that will go out and buy Nintendo's next console for Animal Crossing, and only Animal Crossing. I'm just saying, name one new IP from Nintendo that has come out this generation that people are going to look back on and think, man, I really wish they would make another one of those. You know what people do want though? They want another chibi robot. They want another Eternal Darkness. But I don't know, maybe someone in the comments will let me know that I'm an idiot with no credibility and that ARMS is actually better than Punch-Out or some shit. You know, Sony fans can be vocal about the insane price points on their consoles and the fact that they haven't moved on from the PS4, and we're allowed to openly criticize Xbox when they buy up all these studios and then shut them down. But you say one negative thing about Nintendo and it's, how dare you? I got a few hundred words for this son of a bitch. I'm just pointing out what I see and giving my opinion. Like in Link Between Worlds, for example, you had the item rental system, you could merge with walls, and you could travel back and forth from Hyrule to Lorule. And now, with Echoes of Wisdom, I'm watching Zelda summon furniture, and I'm sorry, it feels underwhelming to me. I would have much rather seen Zelda get her own 3D game and them just remake Oracle of Seasons and Ages in this art style. The biggest reason though, and this is why I think Nintendo is starting to lose their creativity, is how they've been treating their legacy games. I don't care what anybody says, repackaging your older games and selling them back to people at full price is straight up sadistic. And it's an excuse to not do anything new. I'm not saying I don't want to see games like The Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on Switch. What I'm saying is these games shouldn't have been left to die on these consoles in the first place. And when they do decide to port these games over, they always do them in the wrong order. I know I can't be the only one that sees this. How come I can play Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3 on the Switch, but I can't play Luigi's Mansion 1? I know it doesn't matter if you play Tropical Freeze first or not, but why the hell is Donkey Kong Country Returns, a Wii game, being sold back to us at $60? Why do we have Metroid Prime 1 and Metroid Prime 4 is on the way, but no word on Metroid Prime 2 or 3? You know what would be a Nintendo-ass thing to do? Is if they announced Super Mario Galaxy 2 is coming to Switch, knowing damn well we can't get 3D All-Stars. That's the type of logic Nintendo uses. So yeah, modern Nintendo kind of sucks, and when I look back on consoles like the GameCube, it's hard not to feel like Nintendo's starting to lose their creativity. I know a lot of people will look at my other videos and call me a hypocrite. They'll say that I'm always going on about how I want classic Zelda back, and isn't that the exact opposite of being creative? And my answer to that is, isn't Tears of the Kingdom just more Breath of the Wild? Like, how is that creative? People don't understand that you can take something that already exists and add a new spin on it. You don't have to pivot and change things up entirely. They'll even tell me that I'm wrong about Nintendo's obsession with remasters and that Nintendo's actually been more consistent with their release schedules than they've ever been in the past. We've gotten so many new games. My answer to that is, did the Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, and 3DS not exist alongside Nintendo's past home consoles? They were consistently releasing games back then too, it's just now their console and handheld divisions have merged together, so all of their games are being made for one single system now. And if the rumors are true that the successor to the Nintendo Switch is just a more powerful Nintendo Switch that doesn't have any gimmicks, and they actually call it the Nintendo Switch number 2, well then at what point do we start to wonder, is Nintendo losing their creativity?